us unite, let us unite. Everybody singing this melody. Let us unite, let us unite. That's the only way we all can be free. Let us unite, let us unite. Everybody join in this sweet refrain. Let us unite, let us unite. Nothing to lose with so much to gain.
Abraham gave birth to you, Muslim, Christian, and Hebrew. What caused the family to feud? Satan was at the root. 4 and 3 make 7. Also 5 and 2. One great universal truth, but many different point of view.
Let us unite, let us unite. Everybody singing this melody. Let us unite, let us unite. That's the only way we all can be free. Let us unite, let us unite. Everybody join in this secret. Let us unite, let us unite. Nothing to lose with so much to gain.
Unity has something start with you and I. Let's work it out together, you and I. Cause love is a thing you can't beg, neither borrow. No deficit, there will be more tomorrow. Take a big man to put difference aside. What a calamity when the difference collide. Every man self-righteous, don't be so shallow. Every man trust in the path that they follow.
Let us unite, everybody in this secret frame. Let us unite, let us unite. Nothing to lose with so much to gain.
Abraham turning in his grave, seeing how the children behave, fighting and killing each other, denying the connection as brother, all waiting for the Messiah to pull the family together. But what will he require? Keep them out of the judgment fire. We must unite in truth and do justice, practice righteousness. Then God's kingdom will come, and this wicked will be done. We must unite the tribes in Ghana, Guinea, Mali, Nigeria, and Nkrumah's vision lights the world over, from Cape to Cairo, one Africa.
Too much division make a good thing spoil. Families are lost over land and oil. Then the want for revenge starts casting a shadow. Some try to forgive, but it's a hard pill to swallow. Love sin a go on the sacred style. Please say a prayer for the woman and child, and unite today so they can still have tomorrow. When faith separates us, it leads on to sorrow.
Let us unite, let us unite. Everybody singing this melody. Let us unite, let us unite. That's the only way we all can be free. Let us unite, let us unite. Everybody join in this sweet refrain. Let us unite, let us unite. Nothing to lose with so much to gain.
All of the nations of the earth as we speak are angry. They're angry because governments cannot suffice the needs of their people. They're angry because a few have gotten wealthy at the expense of the many, and the poor and the sick and the weak and the unlearned multiply, and the value of their lives are diminished by the rich and the powerful, so that when human life is devalued, that in the eyes of man you are unworthy of the gift of, then it is easy for another human being, to take the life of another human being that he or she has devalued. Black life in America is devalued. Hispanic life is devalued. Even poor white life is devalued. There's a way that I have to behave. I'm free, but I'm not free to rob you of yours. I'm not free to take from you what does not belong to me. So if I will construct my life according to these righteous principles, then between man and man, man and woman, peace. Between race and race, peace. Between rich and poor, peace. We have our beautiful Mexican family. This once was theirs. So you can't say to them they are aliens. That's a horrible word to use for former owners. I see my indigenous family here. Many tribes, but they're really one great nation of people that now must be reunited with themselves. So it's their time now, as well as ours, that God would intervene in our affairs and bring the bottom rail to the top. Is not rehabilitating soldiers. When they send you away to kill. When you come home, they gotta reconstitute you for civilian life again. Make sure you have a job so you can take care of your family, but they're not doing it. The Honorable Elijah Muhammad said, a woman can do anything that a man does, and the only thing he forbids a woman to do is that degrades her. So when you go high as you want to, why would God allow the female to wear his attributes if you can't be a manifestation of that attribute? Women, you got to be set free. What God has put within you must be cultivated, must be developed, and must be used for the advancement of a nation and a world. I said to myself, Mr. President, why the hell don't you go to the wicked police department? Why the hell don't you stand up and tell them that your killing of black youth and brown youth is not gonna hold no more? Why don't you stand up? God's world is in need of a truth that will set up a government where everybody can live in peace under real freedom, real justice, and real equality.
company stands for freedom and independence. Times are difficult, but we want to show you how you can act independently and take your life in your own hands.
Ready for Revolution, do you have sound now? Do you have sound now? Let me know. Can you see and hear me now? No, we're operating out of delays here. Ready for Revolution, do you have sound now? All right, welcome, welcome, welcome. Can't explain the technical glitches. However, we're just going to move forward with the programming. This was intended to be a redo, a makeover of, a do-over rather, of what we intended to share this morning with the family in our general class and session. This morning we had a power outage. Now we have a clash of technology, and that's something that's going to have to be worked out with the techs when we all get back together. But thank you for your patience with us, and we're going to move forward with what we do know and what we do have to keep it in motion. Our conversation this week, the theme, well, first let me just say, class and session runs every Monday through Saturday morning at 8 a.m. Eastern on the Eric Terray Muhammad page. And there are times where I come back later in the evening and share additional information, share other streams, partner to do spontaneous live streams and interviews. But we're here this afternoon and we're going to talk a little bit, just a little fireside chat. And what I want to share with you is the opportunity that we have. I want to thank all of you for reaching out to let me know about the issues you had with the sound, because I definitely shouted up blind to this new tech team that's associated with Restream. So allow me to say this. What we do, many of you have watched us over the last couple of years, piping all the day long about an opportunity that will literally reward you with freedom. Reward you with freedom. I use the term with no exaggeration. I say reward because you are being gifted that which you've earned, the right to be free. Well, how did you earn it? You earned it as being a child of abundance. You come from a creator, a beneficent and bountiful God. And as a result, as his creatures, you have the gift or the birthright to the abundance that's been created. I say it quite often. You know, there's more land than you can walk or build upon. There's more air than you can breathe. There's more water than you can swim or drink. That's abundance, folks. And it has just so happens that you have not only that type of abundance, but you have the creatures of the planet, those that walk the earth, those that fly over the earth, those that live in the sea. You have plant life. You have all kind of vegetation that comes out to show the magnificence, the splendor of a creator. And then he gives you and I the best of his creation, the power of choice, the freedom of will. No other creature on the planet has it. No other living organism on the planet possesses that. But God saw fit to give us that of himself. So when it says we are created in his image and in his likeness, what does that mean? When you look at the fact that you have a whole universe that came to birth from a womb of total triple darkness. The sun, the moon, the stars, the planets, all came out of this wonderful womb known as universe. And here we are. We have woman who is made to replicate that type of creation. From her womb of total triple darkness, she produces sons and daughters, men, women, and children who can have the potential to grow into doing miraculous things as little gods with a small g. And then you have man, who's made to be a provider and maintainer, as the God has allowed the balance of the universe to be held with maintenance and provision. He's allowed to go out and master and claim dominion over the fowl, over the fish, over the land animals, over the air, over the land mass. All of this is in replication of the creator. So now that we have that understanding, then there's no reason why we should not grow into who we are and whose we are. So I share all that to give you a backdrop because there is one clear way as to how to know that God is with you in an opportunity. Now, I talk God because I know God. You see? And I know our place in the divine scheme of things. I don't just believe it, I know it. So as a result, I look for those signs and symbols that show me the relevance of what we represent, that shows me that we're in lockstep or in order, that shows me how, I'm just trying to get comfortable here, how to move. The Honorable Elijah Muhammad taught us that the righteous don't move in darkness. When there's doubt, when there's confusion, people are still. Look at the pandemic if it hasn't shown you anything else. When this thing hit, the whole world took to being still. And it wasn't by choice in this instance. God had to smack us all up. Do you recognize that in the months of March and April, when the pandemic came into bloom here in the world, the world's 3 revealed religions were all brought to a screeching halt at the same time. During a time when we were all celebrating our respective holidays at the same time. The Jewish population had Passover. The Christian population had Easter. The Muslim population had Ramadan. And all 3 activities were made to function in a way that it had never done in the past. And the whole world was made still. I couldn't claim my Islam over your Christianity. You couldn't claim your Christianity over her Judaism. There was no tit for tat or who had the better faith tradition or who followed the prophet or who had a better understanding of Jesus or who understood Moses and Abraham better. All those debates were still. You didn't hear any of that going on, and the spaces and places were left desolate. Nobody was traveling to Mecca to take circus around the Kaaba. No one was traveling to Jerusalem to be at the Wailing Wall. No one was traveling into the Vatican. There was no message, Easter message given by the Pope from the terrace. Everyone and everything was made to be still. Why do you think that is? Are we so far off course that we really don't understand the universality of faith, of spiritual centeredness? And are we that far off where the God had to bring us all into, that's right, Sister Missy, into sacred pause, just so that we would see what's important to him? Because he is the only reality. You could take it or let it alone. You could say what you want. But as we said in the earlier conversation, proof is in the pudding. How do you know you have good pudding? Well, all the ingredients have to be there. And then once it's made to the instructions or directions of the recipe, and then it cools off, then you taste it, boy, the proof is there. Likewise, the opportunity that we're going to share with you, that I'm going to share with you just over these few moments. I'm not going to even attempt to bring up the slides. I'm just going to talk to you straight out. This opportunity has the proof that God is with it. What do? Well, first of all, we're wealth builders worldwide. Wealth builders worldwide. We're a group of independent affiliates in FreeBay. FreeBay is an e-commerce company whose product is gold, physical as well as convertible gold, personal development products, and crypto trading. These are the products, but gold is our flagship product. Well, how much does it cost? Look, gold does not cost. You can't buy money. Gold is God's money. And even though man has been made to manipulate what is out here, what is deemed as currency, you have to understand that cash, or I like to say trash, that we carry in our pockets or have laying around the house, or these things are not real money. But gold is. Gold is money. The power of what we represent in this opportunity that we're representing to you is that you can take something as simple as $8 US. Those of you who are in the United States, I see my nieces on from Guinea, West Africa. Hey, Fatu Yaye. All right, so we have an opportunity where we take $8 US. And what do we do with it? We exchange it for its value in gold, for 1/10 of a gram of gold. And guess what? We hold it and we make money. See, our business model is very simple. We tell people we save gold, we tell people we make money. It's even simpler than that. I can get 1/10 of a gram of gold and hold it and get paid to save. How simple is that? You know, this is not something where you have to pay me. This is not something where something leaves your possession. This is not something that you don't have access to. You have physical gold in your own business, in your own office, on your own account. And you can go to your office and click a button and request a delivery, and the physical gold can be delivered to your home. We are the #1 clients of FedEx. We are the world's largest providers of small incremental gold in friendly transaction formed weights. Ours come in the form of life cards. Life cards are credit card sized carriers, and gold is embedded into it. And we don't have just any kind of gold, folks. We have 24 karat, 999.9 pure LBMA, London Bullion Marketing Association certified pure gold. We have the gold that nations use to settle debt. Well, how do you settle debt with gold? Well, gold is an asset. An asset is an instrument of value that has the power and the ability to appreciate over time. However, asset by definition it derives from a word that means settling or conquering debt or loss. So this is the root of why when wars are fought around the world, they'll leave all the paper, they'll leave all the trash, but they'll go after the gold. When coups are done or performed, like the overthrow of governments, the overthrow of what you call dictators, right? How many scenes have you seen in movies where that's art imitating life and news reels where you see bundles and what do you call those, pallets of cash stacked all over the place? They show you all that with soldiers posing around it. But what they don't show you is all the gold they extracted from that country or from that leader or from that kingdom or that society, because they extract the gold to settle the debts. It's all about war. It's all about war. You see, or rather, that's what the war is all about. Gold. How do you know that God is with you in your quest and your saving of gold? Well, can any of you create gold? Can you go to a company that manufactures gold? Can you go anywhere where you'll find gold being made? You cannot. Because gold is an indestructible, incorruptible asset. It is just as incorruptible and just as indestructible as the God who created it. And when he wants to show that he is with you, he uses whom he chooses. We're talking about agents of change. He uses whom he chooses to confound the wise, those that think they know, those that had the way, those that have manipulated for years, decades, hundreds of years, some almost a century, have manipulated how man is to worship and grow into their worship the God and grow into their godhood. you had these intermediaries, right, who decided they wanted to make themselves God over the people. He gives you his money. Gold is his money, folks. That is his signature. And then he allows you to work it in a way that no one else can, that no one has ever done. So he uses the babes to confound the wise. He reveals that which has never been seen before. And then he gives you a signature that shows you that only he could have done it. That's what we represent in this opportunity. Oh, yeah. Now, I know some of you think that you know enough about gold. Okay, you know gold, you're a financial advisor and all that. We're not into that tra-la-la. We're not financial advisors. We care nothing about your finances. We are wealth builders. We show you how to accumulate the asset. We show you how to protect the asset. We show you how to grow the asset. We show you how to develop cash flow as a being backed by the asset. We show you how to create leverage of an economy under your own roof, and we create generational wealth. And you can start all that with a free gold savings account and $8. I'm just telling you straight up. I have a lot of issues, like everybody. I have a lot of issues, meaning I have a lot of concerns in the world. I have a lot of things that I would like to see differently. There's a lot of things I would love to explore. There are a lot of measures that I believe with the right mindset around it, we can correct in the world. So the world has problems, and being part of that world, we inherit some of those problems. Guess what? For some of us is not our problem. For me, money's not one of them. Now, I've been sharing with many of you for 2 solid years and some change, my wife and I. And we've been sharing with you in Wealth Builders about the opportunity and the culture that's associated with it. What have we seen over the last couple of years? We've seen a devalued currency known as the dollar bill. The dollar bill, I compare it to a cigarette. I compare it because I've heard it said of once Minister Malcolm X, also known as El-Hajj Malik Shabazz, right? And he talked about a cigarette being fire on one end and a fool on the other. Because as it burns, you have nothing left, and the little bit you did have left, you blow it out or cough it out and you throw away the butt. Where do you see the benefit of what you just enacted on? Likewise, when you hold on to this paper and you treat this paper like it's a god. Now, for most of us, it's not our fault that we treat it like that, because that's a training that we received. We've been trained into that understanding. We've been trained into that mentality because there were people who were conditioning us so we would not be able to identify them in their folly, identify them in their corruption, and they can hide in plain sight. So where we, and when I say we now, I'm talking about Black people in America, we came through a world, not knowing any leadership except for the conqueror. We didn't know anything or anyone but the conqueror. We didn't know any society but the conqueror society that was built around us. And we didn't know of anyone excelling, because if you excelled as a once slave, you were treated as an enemy of society. You were an outcast, or you had to be made an example of. Even the women who were pregnant with the seed of change were hung upside down from trees, and their wombs cut open, and the baby black boots stomped on the ground, while their oppressors and their children stood around and watched, eating popcorn and doing bonfires. This is fact. So now that we're coming into and growing into another reality, I heard an argument just a day or so ago, and the argument was over whether or not Lincoln, meaning Abraham Lincoln, really wanted to see freedom for the once slave. And the discussion was on the Emancipation Proclamation. And I was tickled by it because I'm reminded of a conversation he had, Lincoln, with I believe it was Frederick Douglass and some others. And he says, let's face the facts. I'm paraphrasing. You're suffering from our presence and you're suffering from our existence and we're suffering from your presence. How much plainer can you get? We were freed, so-called freed, under the Lincoln administration in pursuit of providing bodies for a war to reunite the Union because of the Civil War and the civil unrest they were under. Here we are now. You go from 1865, 1866, and you come right on up into 2020, and you see the same thing. You see civil war and unrest. You see divided nations. You see police terror in the streets. You see racial discrimination and uprising. You see a fallen economy, right? You see all these things. And in the midst of all of that, which has been the norm for a century or two now, what has not been a part of the norm is the pandemic. Oh yeah, you cite the 1918 bubonic plague and that kind of stuff. That's good historical context on the fact that it can happen. But what you don't have in historical context is why. What we don't have is why it happened. Why is it happening now? And why is it something that's engulfing everybody? Okay. You could say it was man manipulated. All right. You could say that there was a plan of culling populations. Okay. I can embrace all of that. Well, somewhere along the line, they planned and God planned. And God manifested as the best of planners because you desire one thing for us, possibly, and I use you loosely, and it end up engulfing even yourselves. The scripture talks about it, how Jesus talks about you dig a ditch and you fall in it. It's the same scenario. It's the same scenario. So now, in the midst of all these storms, all these crises, where is the solution? The solution is incubated. The solution is being prepared. You see? And just as the womb of the universe produced sun, star, moons, and planets, I mean, think about it. We were not there to know what these live balls experience crowning into the universe, into a rotation around the sun. We have no idea. I don't say we have no idea. We don't know. But we have an idea through our reflection on woman, because woman is made to go through the contractions, go through the struggles. Babies are being reminded of what it was to bring their shoulders in and turn their head and draw them out of the womb and bring them into the world. That's a painful, life-altering, and near-death experience for the mother, probably for the child too, but definitely for the mother. And life is formed. Here, right now, folks, when you see the economy and the shape that it's in, think of it as contractions. When you see political unrest around the world, think of it as a contraction. When you see job loss, homelessness, when you see hunger, starvation, where people's stomach walls are now meeting their spines, I'm telling you, look at it as a contraction. When you see all the loss of life surrounding pandemic, when you think about the loss of life in all of these different ways that people are taking themselves out or being removed via lost permission, see it as contractions, because You're still here. You and I are still here. We're coming to birth with something. And what I'm sharing with you right now is why we exist as wealth builders, showing you how to prepare and shore yourselves up for the eventuality. What's the eventuality? You can't see you're on the ark? How many of you, just type in the chat, how many of you know the story of Noah's Ark? How many of you know that Noah built for centuries because God ordered him to build this structure of buoyancy and of safety and of refuge, and he said, okay, let's go. And at the expense of his losing his children, his family, his loved ones, his supporters, his friends, his colleagues, his neighbors, they mocked him, they laughed at him. They threw things at him. How in the heck are you going to be found building a boat on dry land? There hasn't been no water here in hundreds of years, and here you are building an ark. Man, you look stupid. And they clowned on him, and they mocked him, and the children were embarrassed, and the wife was embarrassed, and everybody wanted to go a separate way. They said, oh, no, just die, do something. Just stop this thing because you're drawing attention to us that's no good. Who's going to take care of the farm? Who's going to take care of the cattle? Who's going to do X, Y, and Z? I got to look out for my wife. I got to look out for my children now, Dad. It was breaking up and dividing family, and Noah stayed the course. And then the ark is finished, and now he's doing God's additional command, bringing everyone on in pairs, in twos. Why twos? It takes two to procreate. It takes two to duplicate. It takes two. So now the ark is built, and Noah's bringing everybody on. I'm painting a picture here because he was still, even in that moment, being the name of my immediate team is Team Noah. Woo! Didn't know that, brother. Didn't know that. That's a great name. That's a great name. You'll learn about teams as we go on, because there's no way in the world you cannot be a part of this opportunity after we finish here. They still laughed at him. And when he closed the door to the ark, and people out there, they said they were partying and drunkenness and giving in marriage. That's what the scripture said. Just like some of us are out here in a pandemic where we're instructed, advised to shelter in place. And you having all these big gatherings and galas because you're so starving for attention. You're so needy to touch and feel people. And you don't recognize when God is touching you. Some of you don't even go out with your mask. You don't use Paxman. You don't use any supplements to stave off the possibility of contracting this plague of pestilence that comes into your household. Schools are opened, and you have no handle on this. There's a report that came out that said that people who have been attending different rallies and functions have now contributed to 30,000 more cases per day as a result of people just being in the presence of this madness, public gatherings. So now they're all partying and carrying on. The last poets called it party and BS and party and BS, right? Soon as the ark doors closed and they out here partying, just imagine this. Is that rain? Did y'all feel something? And the flood came. The flood came. And history symbolically records. Now, I want to ask you a question. Those scriptural buffs. When the doors were closed and the floods came, where did Noah's ark sail to? If anyone knows the answer to that, just type it in the chat. Where did Noah's ark sail? How long did the rain stay? Did it rain a day, 2 days, couple of nights? Understand it says 40 days and 40 nights. Have y'all heard anything like that? Where did the ark, with everyone paired in twos, where did it sail to? That's right, Rev. Nowhere. Because it was a space of refuge so that you can now return when it is over. You can now return to a land that belongs to the new you. Your refuge is found in your study. Your refuge is found in your commitment. Your refuge is found in your massive action to tell everybody you can, hey, y'all, there's a storm coming. And this is what you need to do. Well, how do you know it's you that's been prepared to tell and forewarn people? Because you're here. And check this out. Many of you know the great preacher, entrepreneur, ambassador of faith, Dr. Miles Monroe, may Allah be pleased. And Dr. Monroe, he shared something that struck me and it stays with me to this day. He said that crisis destroys tradition. Crisis destroys tradition. What does that mean? Well, look at the crisis we're in right now. See, when things happen in society, it's only a crisis when it's out of the control of your governing bodies. If there's an issue with a calamity, such as a tornado or a hurricane or a flood, and the government can send out FEMA or one of these agencies, or Red Cross can jump out there and they go out and they sort of rebuild the wasted space. Well, that's not necessarily a crisis, because tradition, meaning that which is already established, took care of it, handled it, right? And you as a community go on to live to fight another day. All right. So now when you have a crisis, this means it's out of the ability of the normal to address it, to arrest it, to restore what was. And when crisis arises, a new norm is produced, because traditions cannot handle it. It's the falling away. It's the going out of the old and the coming of the new. And in the middle of all that, you and I. See, I submit to you that we're in the ark. I submit to you that we represent what will be the new norm. And it all begins with God. And it all begins with his money. He's already sheltered us in place. He's making us to pay attention to our families again. He's making us to find a way to settle differences. Check this out. I was in a conversation some months ago. Now, mind you, this is now November. It was roughly mid-March that I stopped touring the country with Wealth Builders Worldwide, promoting this opportunity, saving gold and getting paid to save. I stopped touring. My last stop was Chattanooga, Tennessee in March, mid-March of this year. And my wife reached out to me and said, you need to come off the road. So I flew back to Georgia and I did exactly what she said. And in that next week, the numbers got to growing. People were contracting this thing. People were dying, right? I come off the road. When we come off the road, And then they start closing the schools. And then they close the job market. And everyone now has mandatory sheltering in place. There's checkpoints set up along state lines. You're in Georgia, you better not be traveling east. I mean, they had all this stuff set up, right? Hazmat suits started finding their place. People were scrambling for face masks and all kind of stuff. It looked like we wouldn't have enough of anything. Stores were decimated. I mean, you couldn't find a loaf of bread. I mean, bread, water, toilet tissue. You remember the pandemic? Everyone took all the toilet tissue and paper towels. All this went on. And then it looked like maybe there's a little handle on it, but in pockets. All this went on. People didn't know what the next day would produce. The sales of weaponry went through the roof. Everybody and their mom and them getting some kind of gun, getting some kind of rifle. I live around a lot of acreage in farmland, and you would hear people practicing shooting and whatnot. Who they practicing for, I have no idea. Look, all this is going on, and you have a country, as you have the nations of the earth, collectively, they're behind the 8 ball. They don't have a handle or can't get a grip on this pandemic and what it has unleashed. So they want to try in the United States to restore some calm, restore some order, bring back some economic stability, not civility, stability. Meaning they want to enjoy things the way they used to, but used to is gone. The rolls of unemployment before the pandemic was hovering between 17 and 20 million people. Pandemic hits, it goes up 1.3 million, at one point 3 million in 1 week, but 2 million in 1 week, but it was up 1.3 million on an average per week, folks, per week. People are filing for all kind of claims. People are filing for all kind of stimulus packages and whatnot, to guard against or safeguard against loss. Then there was a moratorium placed on rents and moratorium placed on mortgages, right? And certain payments, utility companies, and moratoriums mean it was they put a still, like it wasn't required to pay it in that hour until they can get a handle on things, but it's still required. Somebody look up the definition of forbearance. FOREBEARANCE. Forbearance. And we'll close with that definition. Okay. So now you have a situation where all these things are happening. Why? Because you have governments and banksters. That's gangsters with a B. Banksters trying to get control. I mean, think about it. They still try to open the schools and you have to stay home. They open the colleges, you have to stay home, and they still charge you full tuition. Full tuition. You're not there for housing. You're not there for meals. You're not there. You can order your books through Amazon. Hey, they charge you full tuition anyway. And here it is. People were dying at heights unparalleled, according to some reports. And they said, no, we're going to bring us some money. We're going to bring some money in here. We're going to open up all of your sporting arenas. Yes, you're going to play football. Yes, you're going to play basketball. You're going to play baseball. You're going to do all of this. Thank you, Sister Missy. I'm going to put it up here on the screen. Forbearance, patient self-control, restraint and tolerance. Forbearance from taking action. Right? So thank you, Queen. So what that is saying is that you're made to be still, you're made to relax, you're made to pause. There's a financial term to forbearance, however. And forbearance is, I've
And in the financial world, I've taken all that I can take. I put off all that I could. Now you need to pay me everything up front right now. So if your forbearance lasted 2 months, 3 months, that moratorium, if it lasted 6 months, when they release it, you have to pay most places the entire 6 months that day, or you might be out of your home, or you might have lost your car, or your utilities will be off. You see? So they try to fake like there's something normal. They're trying to stimulate an economy. They're trying to stimulate it, however, with paper. Then, while they have you looking at paper, they create a digitized approach. Not that they're just doing it. It's been here for 50 years. I was in a conversation with one of our newest business partners, Big Meech, Demetrius Taylor. All right. And we were talking about how years ago, he knew that that money was gone, that paper, the cash was gone, when they put food stamps on a card. He said the nation was digital then. So you're talking about 50 years of digitized representation of money. Remember, you used to have a checkbook. Checkbook went away, and you had a debit card, a credit card. Those things are now going away, folks, and you have all this virtual accounting going on. And then you have this thing called Bitcoin that comes out of nowhere. And you find out that Bitcoins are part of a trading community that now trades more than $50 billion of currency per day. Per day. Why gold? Because it's a store of value. Why gold? Because it'll leverage the economy in your own home. Why our gold and freebie? Because it's both physical and digital. You can literally exchange the physical product for a digital product, give it legs in the cryptocurrency space, and you'll earn a daily residual income, true passive income. You want to know how? Get with the one who introduced the opportunity to you and let them know you're ready to get started, that you're ready to learn more. I haven't punched a clock for anybody since February 6, 2020. I've been in the opportunities of the end of September 2018. And I was working 90 hours a week at that time. And by the time, family, I was blessed to hit 2020, I knew I was free. And soon you'll hear a whole testimony from my wife and our children and my older children, and you'll learn about the businesses. You'll learn about all the things that are happening in this exciting, amazing opportunity known as Freebay under the culture of Wealth Builders Worldwide. We show you how to do this thing. We show you how to do it and not have to compromise anything you believe. You don't have to compromise any pursuit that you have. You have a true vehicle by which you can realize the lifestyle of your dreams, and that vehicle is God's money. That's how you know it belongs to him. That's how you know it's his signature. Here's the deep, 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 deep part about it. Okay, so God creates gold. God creates man. God creates gold and makes it available and for the manipulated market, it's in scarcity. So they manipulate the price of it, right? They combine the scarcity along with what it takes, the labor that's involved to extract it from the earth. So that's what gives it its value. But man manipulates price, the bankers. Okay. So there's a signature that's only God's, because you can't corrupt it. You can't destroy it. You can't make it valueless. Now, we are now acquiring it at tenths of a gram at a time. Every $8, you got a tenth of a gram in your account. You throw away $8. You throw it away in a drive-through. You throw it away in a package store, grocery store. You throw it away on a pack of cigarettes. You throw it away in the lottery. Here is a system that offers you God's money that has no possibility to lose. It can only gain. And then check it out. Now, when you want the gold to run for you, oh yeah, you're not, this is your business. You are the business. This is not a job where you go work for money. Here, money is working for you. You are no longer selling your time for money. Real money works for you when you save God's gold. When you have this gold, you join on to us now. We're going to show you how you can give that gold digital legs. And as it moves out in the market space in the world of cryptocurrencies, you earn a fee for every time it moves because you created it with the gold you exchanged for. I guess that's enough of that. Get back to the one who introduced this opportunity to you and let them know you want to know more. Now, there is a presentation I would like for you to see this evening on our platform, www.goldrocks.info. There's a password associated with that to get directly on the platform to watch it, hear it, listen to it live, and you can also ask your questions. There'll be a Q&A section there that allows you to ask the questions about the compensation plans, about how the gold is handled, and this wonderful world that we're growing into in Free Bay. That's at 9 p.m. Eastern. Get back to the one that introduced the opportunity to you and get that password so you can get on and ask your questions straight away. Tomorrow morning, I'm back on this platform at 8 a.m. Eastern, class in session, and we're going to be ready. Hard Facts Friday is what we call our Fridays because we come with things in a way that you're already forewarned. Don't worry about who's saying it. Don't worry about how they're saying it. Don't worry about where they're saying it. Pay attention to what is being said, and you'll be on the road to freedom. I want to thank you for your time and your attention and the opportunity of allowing me to try to do my all to bring the best foot forward. But I'm telling you, it's time, family. That arc, we're in it. Don't be running and trying to get a door closed. We're already in it. You're talking to us right now. You're hearing us right now. You're literally on the little ramp that God's inside. So come on inside. Keep working up that ramp. Get your free gold savings account and get on in. The requirements for the gold savings account: your full name, your phone number, your shipping address, because you want your gold, right? Email address, date of birth with the year. And you're in business with nearly 8 billion people around the world, and you can do business in 149 countries, morally, ethically, and legally correct. And you can do it from your phone. You can do it from your laptop, your desktop. Let's go, family. I'll see us all this evening on the Mighty Wealth Building live event, 9 p.m. Eastern. And most of you know how to find me. You just need to find me. But get back to the one that introduced this to you and let them know you're ready to get busy. Because when those doors close, we're going to be on the inside, living a whole nother world, a whole nother reality, awaiting to implement the change that God has ordained us to be. Peace and power, family. I appreciate you all. Forward.